Yeah, good morning. Last session we discussed about how do we work with content projection example, right? So after understanding content projection, right? So last session we discussed about this content projection and that example video I will upload today into the classroom. Previous example video I will upload into classroom. You check from there. So the example already I uploaded into classroom. Video also I will upload today so that you can see, because online people disconnected due to network issue last session. That example video I will upload into classroom. So in the structural directives, we learned about two important structural directives. So one structural directive, what is it? ng if. After understanding ng if, the next, what is problem in ng if there are many conditions, then switch between the conditions will be difficult. So better you can go with a switch. So we have another that is ng switch. ng switch. You know the purpose, no need to explain, because in general programming you learned, if you are using if and else if, multiple if conditions, then what is problem is, even your condition matching with the fifth, it have to check every condition. It have to check every condition. But what is the advantage of switch? Switch is a selector. Switch is a selector that renders only the block that matches given condition. So what is difference is, if directive, ng if directive, ng if directive, ng if directive will verify every condition. ng if directive will verify every condition until it matches the given criteria. ng if directive will verify every condition until it matches the given criteria. So what is problem? It is heavy for application if there are many conditions to check. It is heavy for application if there are many conditions to check. You know the solution. You already learned in your general programming that writing lot of if and else, how the problem is. So switch can handle that, right? What ng switch can do? ng switch can directly render the block. can directly render the block that matches. ng switch can directly render the block that matches given condition. Already given above the same here. So it uses three important options are there. One is ng switch and ng switch case and ng switch default. These options are already, in general programming we need a case and we need a default, right? In general programming, how do we write switch? Here little syntactically different. How you write is because it is UI. So then what we do is we put a parent container. In the parent container we write ng switch and we define the condition or value we pass into it. Now in this we define child containers. We have child container. Child container will have ng switch case. Here we use ng switch case. And case can be a string enclosed in single quotes. In double quote, again you have to define a single quote. It is mandatory. So here the case value, suppose it is case 1. Then this template will render. The child container will render. That means if ng switch value is matching with case 1, then this container will render. Similarly, you can write any number of containers. So if it is matching with case 2, then it will render that case 2 container. Now, if it is not matching with any of these, then it will use ng switch default. Default indicates the container to display if any of these cases are not matching. And no need to tell you what is a switch case. You already know what is a switch case. Only the point here how to present it in the UI. How we can display the UI. So this is the basic syntax, how we use the switch. Generally in program, what you do? So that means in TypeScript, how you write it, we generally write a switch into the case value or expression. And you know that here you define a case. Case, if it is 1, then what statements to execute? And you usually use a jump statement like break. And if anything is not matching, you generally use a default. Default and statements and break. That's what generally we do in switch. That's what we do generally in switch, how we can define and do. Yeah. So that is basically how we handle. This in the UI, when you are presenting, you have to follow this mechanism. Let's see how we can render. For ngIf, what we were doing, we were using a template, dynamic template, ng template. Here, simple. So let's go to example. Let's add one container. In the components, we will add a new component, ng generate component, switch demo. Okay. So this switch demo component, I will add in the startup. We have a switch demo. In index, let's keep that switch demo. Right. So this is switch demo ready. Let's run this. Switch demo is working. First, I will show you the basic syntax here. How to use it. Basic syntax, simple. In the HTML, we are designing a div and a container. Here we are writing the parent container. I will just give here switch demo. The parent container is a div. In this, we are writing several child containers. Child containers, again, we are giving div. In the child container, I am defining here as first one, this contains case 1 block. Okay. Similarly, another div, this is case 2 block. Okay. Another, we have like default block. Okay. Now, in the parent, we are defining switch. In the parent container, switch need to be defined as a property by using ng switch. And this will take a value. For example, I am giving the switch value here as suppose case 2. So switch value is configured as case 2. Now here first one will be configured as asterisk ng switch case and its name is case 1. Similarly, the second block we have to define ng switch case and this is case 2. This is very important. Many times people commit mistake here. The case string must be in single quote. Right? Case string must be in single quote. If you miss that point, it will not work. It will not allow any another value. Generally, when you are using cases in general TypeScript level, you can use case as a number, case as a boolean, case as a string. Here, always case will be only string. No number, no boolean, nothing. Only string. And the last one, we have to define ng switch default. ng switch default. Now you can see here, so in the output it says case 2 block. Why? Because case 2 block, because it is case 2 is defined, it will execute this block. If in the switch we are passing case 1, then it should execute the case 1 block. If in the switch I am passing case 3, we don't have any case 3 matching, then it should execute the default block. That's a very simple, straightforward option. What problem you faced in ngIf? you cannot use HTML templates. You have to depend on dynamic templates. Creating templates dynamically, rendering them, it will be very huge issue. So if there are many conditions, then you can handle that by using ng switch. Here you don't need dynamic templates. It can directly work on HTML. So what is the point here about ng switch is, ng switch doesn't require dynamic templates. Dynamic templates means you know ng template. Ng template. It doesn't require dynamic template like ng template, which you need compulsory in ng if. So ng switch can directly handle on HTML templates, HTML containers, directly handle on HTML containers. So in ng if, you need additionally ng template, which already we saw how do we create templates. So without using ng switch can render templates without content projection. That's what we can do. ng switch can render templates without content projection. We don't need any content projection. And what is content projection? We know already. If you are using dynamic templates, then it depends on content projection. Here we can directly render without any content projection. So one simple syntax here is, first I will give you syntactical example. So we have a switch demo component .html. I'm not writing anything there in TS file. In that HTML, this is the code. This is how we need to write ng switch. How we configure the switch and how you define the switch. If I say 2, then second case will execute. Now, one regular mistake sometimes people do while using if and switches. Generally, you see here, syntactically what problem you will face is, actually we have parent container. In the parent container, this is parent container. When you are using ng if, after the parent container, your templates must be there, ng template. That means the templates must be not as child. The templates must be as siblings. Siblings means after it. Child is different, sibling is different, right? So when you are using switch, then parent, we have parent. When you are using ng switch, here inside the parent, you should have your containers. That means your child container must be here, inside. But for ng if, it should be outside. If you miss this point, it will not work. Sometimes people unknowingly what they do, in the main container, they put these templates when they are working with ng if. Because This is a common habit for developers who have already worked with various frameworks earlier. Because in many frameworks earlier, we have to write everything in a parent-child hierarchy. But in Angular, we have to follow this technique. This is very important. That means when you are using dynamic templates, these dynamic templates cannot be inside a parent. They cannot be inside parent. They must be outside parent. It's compulsory. And when you are using HTML templates, because these are HTML templates, they cannot be outside parent. They must be inside parent. This basic point you need to remember. Let me give this as a note. So dynamic templates are defined as general siblings. Dynamic templates are defined as general siblings. And HTML containers are defined as child. This is important. You know general sibling and child. General sibling means after the parent. Child means inside the parent. We need these two options. Actually, you might have learned that in your CSS. General siblings and child. For example, I given div, and in the div, suppose I given a space some p. What does this means? This means the paragraph inside div. That means the paragraph inside div. Suppose I given div. This also indicates paragraph inside div. These are child. This is child. This is also child. But if I write like this, div, if I put plus p, this indicates adjacent. Adjacent means after div, paragraph after div, not inside div. That means adjacent. This is para after div. This indicates para inside div. Both indicates para inside div. This very much matters. You might have learned another selector, div tilde paragraph. This also, it is all siblings actually. Siblings. Plus indicates adjacent and tilde indicates all. These are general representations. When you are trying with if should use child and switch should use siblings. The templates must be, switch must be divs, switch must be child, and if should be adjacent. These you have to follow. That means this is for switch, and this is for if. That is how we follow the technique actually. These are actually presentation related selectors. We call CSS selectors. These are presentation related selectors. Because you are using switch in presentation now, then you need to know the basic presentation rules. Right? So if you write switch inside, then it will not work. That means if you for switch, if you are using these paragraphs as child, then it will not work. So this is the basic rule and point you need to remember. You can put an example. I hope no need to give example. You can try. I will just give you a basic example. So for example, now let's create a simple example for switch demo. Actually, you can try. I will give container fluid. Okay. So let's create one example to understand that switch demo. I will go to the TS file and let's fetch the data from API. We are creating a product object of any type, and it is an object. And we need to create a method called load product. This load product is going to load any one specific product. So we will use fetch. So from HTTP fakestoreapi.com/products/some2. Any one product we are launching here. Then response implies response.json. It returns response JSON. Then data it will collect and apply to the this dot product is equal to whatever data you collected. So that is ready. On initialization, we are loading the product. This dot load product, it is loaded on initialization. Now it is done. Now I need to present that here. Now when we are presenting here the product details, let's create here a navbar. I will create here class as I will create as btn toolbar and bg danger, something like this I define. Now this is now toolbar. In this we have a div. So the class btn group. In that we are having a button. This is basic details. And another button we have preview. And another button as rating. Same example. This time we are designing with switch, right? And description. And here we have a button, say rating. Okay. All these buttons will have btn and btn danger. That is the class. It's like a button toolbar we are designing. All these are defined in this way. This is the presentation. We designed a button toolbar. In that we have basic details, preview, description, and rating. Now I need to show only the container that they want. Previously for that we were using ngIf, where we need lot of content projection, because ngIf can render only two blocks. Condition true, one block. Condition false, another block. Now you can render multiple. I will create here section. In the section, we will put a class margin top 2 or 3. Below this, we need to create a main container. In this main container, we need child containers. Child containers, again div. In this first child container, I will put here basic details. Okay, in that I need to display data list, data term. So product title. How to get the product title? You already know. We have product dot title. Another data term is price. We have to access the price from the product dot price. Okay, that is one container. That is basic details. Let's create another container. This contains an heading as preview. Preview means I need to show the image. I will put an image. Image source comes from product dot image. So width and height I defined to 200. One more container we need here. So div, and here we keep a heading as description. The description will put in a paragraph. So, and here it is product dot description. And one more container we need here, div. Another container is rating. And here we will put a paragraph. Just we want to display rating. I will put a span class bi star fill text success, and beside that we will put rating, right here. Beside the star we will put product dot rating. In that rating we have a rate. After that we will put here product, again binding expression, product dot rating dot count. These are the details that we have. Actually, now all these details are displayed. But I want only the details that is matching with my selection. That means I need to remove all the details and display only what I want. So let's do this now. So here I will remove this heading product details. Just directly one toolbar is there. I want to display only the details that is matching. Now, first here, I need to define selection which should switch between these containers. And the value comes from these button clicks, on these button clicks. So let's put these as cases first. First one, ng switch case. What is the case value? Case name. Here case name is, I will give as basic. Okay. Second container. Here we are defining ng switch case. The case is preview. Okay. And third case, here ng switch case. The switch case is description. We are writing description. Okay. And the last one here, ng switch case. Here we will define as rating. So the description and the rating and everything we configured here. Now, out of these, which one to execute and display, that will be decided by parent. So parent will use ng switch. And this value we will change dynamically. We will send a dynamic value into it. Which template to display? Is it basic? Is it preview? Which template? And remember, this switch value depends on the button click. For all these buttons, we have to write a click event. Into the click event, we need to send the button details, which button click. So what we will do is, for every button, we will give a value or button name. This button name is basic. And this button name is preview. And this button name is description. And this button name is rating. All these buttons have the options. And what I have done here, the names I given same as case names. Button names I given same as case names. Okay. Now, for these buttons, we have to write a click event. So let's write click here. Here that is nothing but button click. That means which template to display. So we will put here toggle or on button click. Okay. On button click, we have to collect the button name. Which button they clicked, I need to collect the button name. So here on button click, I am expecting a button name. Actually, button related all details you can access as an event argument E. It is what type? Any type. Now let's go to the HTML. This on button click should fire up. So on every button click, we have to call that method. That means whenever user clicks the button, this will fire up. But how the method knows which button clicked? What you can do is you can send the button details. As you already know, in JavaScript, we can send by using two parameters. We have this, another one, event. This will send object related information. Event will send event related information. But in Angular, you have only one, that is $event. In Angular, object properties, event properties, both are sent by using this $event. That means through that we can access the button related details. I will copy this. And same for all the buttons. All buttons will handle this click event, and we can send the button details through $event. Now we can collect that here. We can collect that button value. But important is here, I am declaring another property. See, I am writing template to display. Template to display is a string, and into that I will give the name here as basic. That means now switch will use this template to display. What is the switch case? It is basic. So here in the ng switch, we will use that template to display. Template to display, it is by default having basic. Basic means it should display only the first one. Now you see it is displaying only the first one. Others are removed from the page. Now when user clicks preview, it should display only preview. It should display only preview. So for these buttons, we return click event. We will access this. On the click event, how to access the button name? We can get this dot template to display is equal to e dot target dot name. E dot target dot name is used to get the button name. That means this E refers to event argument. Event argument have a property called target. In that target property, you can access name, which is button name. Button name, this is general JavaScript event arguments. In JavaScript event arguments, same we have to follow. And this event argument contains button name. That means if you click details, it will get details. If you click preview, it will get preview. That means template to display is a string which will be changing according to the button. So now when I click preview, then it should get preview and show. And when I click description, it should get description and display. And when I say rating, then it should get rating and display. And basic details, it should get the basic details and display. This is a simple point of handling the data. The same example we done previously, but by using ngIf. But ngIf was able to handle two templates only by default. On condition true, one template, on condition false, another. For explicit templates, we have to create templates, render them dynamically. But here we don't need. Here we can switch between the templates. Of course, you can see now in the design, you can see inspect. and in the inspect you can see here, you see the content. The content is basic details. But when I click on preview, what will happen is all that block is removed. Only preview will come. That means only the preview related information will come. Other blocks are removed. They are removed. Only preview is coming. I said description, only description will come. Others will be removed. I say rating, only rating container will come. Others will be removed. If there are many conditions to handle, then this is the best way to define. So you have to create a switch selector. And when user is choosing the views, it is displaying the concerned view. So here I am writing a button. Actually, you can put radio buttons. You can put drop down menus. I will show you those examples also. Next level we will see. That means it's not necessary that you have to keep a button. You can use your all HTML elements which are suitable for selection, like radios, like drop downs, because at a time here user can select only one. Then in that case you can use radio, you can use drop downs, and you can design like this. We will see in next level examples. We will use radios, we will use drop downs, and we will see how to handle. Right, initially, as in the previous example I showed with the button, same I am showing here difference, how to handle by using this. Right, this is technically how we can manage multiple templates. What new and what advantage you found here is no need to create any template dynamically. In ngIf we have to create the templates dynamically by using template reference, by using view child we have to render them, but here not required. Everything is internally managed with HTML itself, right? So example is simple. We have switch demo dot component dot ts. In that ts file, let me put this logic, and one more, switch demo dot component dot html. In HTML all this presentation will go. This is another point. Previously I given only syntax based example. This is one simple example comparison, how ngIf works and how ngSwitch works. So in the structural directives we have two types of directives. So ngIf, ngSwitch. What is the main aim of this? The main aim of these two is only one: adding and removing templates in the page. We can add template, we can remove template. Next, in the structural directives, we have very important ngFor. In the structural directives, very important ngFor. Actually, if you have learned JavaScript and jQuery, you know how to handle the elements dynamically. It's very tough. Here it's very simple. For example, I will show you the problem in your JavaScript. In JavaScript, jQuery little better, but in JavaScript, how to handle what happens, I will show you a simple option. Yeah, here I already showed you. So generally, you already know that suppose we have a collection, categories. We want to add this into ordered list. In order to add into ordered list, we have to write this lengthy logic. We have to perform iteration. and we need to read. For example, let me give you a simple clarity here. Suppose we have some data. Let me keep some data. Means I am showing you what is the problem in JavaScript and how it is simple in Angular. Suppose we have data. This data contains object data, array of objects. We have name. So, and we have price. Okay. As of now, just put two things. Now we have name as Nike shoe and we have some price. Okay. I want to display this in a table form. I want to display in a table. That means in HTML we have a table and table have some border and width. And in this table, I want to display that. So here we have T head, TR, TH, we have name, and we have price. Under that, you know that table will have a T body, that is table body. Generally, you already learnt in JavaScript how to generate the table. That means what we have to do, we have to read this and add into table. Into table body, we have to add this. You already learned in JavaScript. What we have to do first, we have to write a loop iterator for var item of data. We are reading every item. And here, in order to add into table body, you know that you cannot add directly anything into table body. To add anything into table body, there must be a table row. In the row, you cannot add directly anything. In a row, you must add a table cell. Then you learnt in JavaScript that first what we have to do, we have to create one cell for name. How to create document dot create element td. This is one table cell. We have to create another cell for price. td price document dot create element what is it for td. We have to create a row document dot create element tr. After that td name dot inner html, I have to display the item name. Next td price dot inner html, I have to display item price. I need to add these two cells into row. That means tr dot append child, and I need to add this into first one td name, tr dot append child. So append child, I need to add td price. Two cells added, row is ready. This row must be added into table body. Document dot query selector t body dot append child. Into table body, we have to add the row. Now this makes the table ready. That means we are reading the data from an array and we are presenting in table. You all people learned this in JavaScript. If you know JavaScript, you know what is the pain behind presenting the data, right? If I have data coming from any API or any object, to present it, lot of logic we have to write, lot of DOM methods we have to write. We have to create elements. I hope you know that this is only way in JavaScript. This is the only way how you present data in JavaScript. To create tables, to create any content dynamically, so much complexity is there. Now, here we can solve this problem in a simple way by using this structural directive. What ngFor can do is, it's very simple. Actually, You will see the difference now. ng for it is a repeater. ng for is a repeater. Generally, when you learnt about for, we call it as a for as a loop or for as an iterator. Here in the presentation UI, remember these are related to user interface. So ng for is a repeater. Repeater means a repeater a repeater can repeat HTML element dynamically. A repeater can repeat HTML element dynamically. That means I want a row 100 times. Then you just write once and make it repeat 100 times. So ng for is a repeater, and repeater can repeat HTML element dynamically. Actually, how many times repeat? So to decide that, it uses an iterator. It uses an iterator that specifies the number of times to repeat. It uses an iterator that specifies the number of times to repeat. That means, for example, see, here I am writing a table row. I want this row to repeat. Then how many times it should repeat? Who will decide that? That is done by using a iterator. Generally in JavaScript, how to write iterator? We use here ng for. Here in Angular we use ng for. Actually in JavaScript, what you do for, you will have an option where item of what is it? Collection. That is how you write to read every item from the collection. So here we have to use ng for let item of collection. That means how many times it will repeat this row. How many times it will repeat the row? The number of times depending on the number of data present in collection. That means how many elements are present in the collection, those number of times. That means if collection contain, that means you can simply say that what is the iteration count? Iteration count is collection length. Collection length. Collection length means how many items are present inside it. That means you see now collection length. Remember, this is repeater. You can repeat any element. I want a list item. I want a div. So I want a paragraph. I want a heading. I can repeat any element. That means for every element, you can use this repeater. You can use this repeater everywhere. You can use it everywhere. It repeats according to the collection. That means remember, the repeating count depends on the collection length. The collection length. Collection length means total how many number of items are present inside the collection. Repeating count depends on the collection length. See, it's very simple point actually. Let's see. I will add another component for you. ng generate component and for demo. Okay, skip this. Now here we will see one technique. First, for your understanding sake, we will use normal data for demo, and in index I am giving for a demo. So we are using for demo. Okay, for demo is working fine. It's working fine. Now see here, what we will do is go to the for demo, and here we maintain some data collection. Let's create a collection. So that is categories. Categories is a any type or string type array. That means in that we are keeping some string array. We have like all, we have like electronics, we have like footwear, so like fashion, some are there. Now I want to display this in the UI. You see now here I'm just using a div class container fluid, and here we will put a heading. This is for demo. Okay, observe here I'm creating, let's put here, means I will show various points, then I will put a div class row, in that I will put a div that is class call. In this I will keep categories list. In that we have an ordered list. We will have an ordered list. Okay. Now see here, I want here a list item. Okay. You see one list item is there. I want this to repeat. So I will use a repeater ng for. Okay. How many times it should repeat? For that we need a iterator. So let item of collection. Collection is what? Categories. Observe carefully. It will repeat 4 times. That means now this is a repeater, repeating the elements. And every time when it is repeating, every item is stored in this item. That item we need to display here. We will put that item here. Then you can see it can read and display the items. That's very simple. Earlier, if I have to do the same in JavaScript, lot of DOM methods. First, you have to create a list item. Second, you have to add data into list item. Third, you need to append the list item into ordered list. That is the work you have to do in JavaScript, and here it's very simple. That means you need to just use this repeater. And how many times to repeat, that is decided by collection. And every repeating item is kept in an item. For example, now I will create div and class another column, and here I will put a heading. Suppose select category, and here I am adding a select. Select means it is a class form select. Form select is nothing but a drop down. It's a drop down. Now in this drop down we need an option. Now this option should repeat. This option should repeat. So then we have to just put an ng for. Ng for let item of collection. Collection is what? Categories. Now every item is stored inside this item, and I need to present that item here. Then I can just put that item here. And you can see all these items are displayed as option. These things, if I have to do in JavaScript, it's very lengthy. Right? In JavaScript, actually, this kind of lengthy approach we have to follow. Right? That means, suppose, already I showed you previously, drop down, how do we create? Suppose this is the problem with table. Complex data also I will show you. See here, Now suppose I want to display div, another column, class column. Suppose I am creating here categories, and I want to display in a table. You see I am using table. Let's put a class called table and table hover, and in that we will have t head, in the tr, in the th categories. That means I am generating a table here. Now below this I want a row for every item. That means I need to display table body. In the table body I need to generate a row. I want this row to repeat. If you want the row to repeat, then here we have to use ng for. What is the repeat condition? Let item of collection. What is the collection? Categories. Now in the row we cannot put any content directly. We have to put a cell. In that cell we need to display that item. In the cell we need to display the item. Now you can see that it is displaying that and showing here. This is a table. Suppose I want to generate a checkbox list like that. A checkbox list. So simple. Here what we do, suppose I am adding another column div, class as column, and here I have another heading select categories. Here I am giving an ordered list. In that ordered list I am giving a list item. This list item should repeat. So this list item will have a checkbox. Input type is equal to checkbox. So actually only one checkbox is there. I will remove here class as list unstyled. It will remove the numbering actually. It will remove the numbering. It will have ordinary checkbox. And see here, this list item should repeat. So then simple, we have to add ng for let item of categories. And for every item you can see so many checkboxes will come. And every item name should be displayed here beside the checkbox, and it will get all the item names. We have electronics, we have footwear, we have fashion checkboxes. That means creating a list like this is always a problem in JavaScript and all. Lot of logic is required. Now it's very simple. We can use iterator, but very important is actually in JavaScript you have two iterators, for in, for off. Here you cannot use for in, you can use only off. That means so ng for uses only off operator. Off operator. What is difference between in operator and off operator? In, it is used to read all properties. Off is used to, it is used to read all values. ng for cannot use in, ng for can use only off. So ng for uses only off operator to read all values, not the properties. Properties means index number 0, 1, 2, 3. From array it returns the index number actually. So repeating items will be very simple, but here lot of work is there. You just saw ordinary array, but if there is complex data like a table, how to present? So like cards, we need to generate like cards, how to present? Iteration inside iteration will be there. means a iteration inside that again iteration. These are very much. For example, see here now. So you can design anything. Example I will give here. ng for demo dot component dot ts. In the ts file, I am just adding only one categories. I am adding only one categories. How to present them? For demo dot component dot html. Here I am showing all the ways of presentation. How to create a ordered list, how to create a drop down, how to create a table, how do we create a checkbox list, right? For all of them, the condition will be similar. This is example. Now, actually, when you are presenting data, data will be in complex way. If data is in a complex way, presenting that is important. For example, see, suppose now I am removing all this, clean up. Yeah. You see here, I am adding simple data. Data is any type array. Data is any type array. Then in that it is an array. Array of objects. Here we have name. It is TV. And price. This is some price. Just now I showed you that if you have to generate this in a table in JavaScript, suppose say Nike shoe, and we have price. Suppose this I have to generate in a table form. I showed you just now here how much logic I have to write. That means we have to create cells, we have to create rows, we have to add data into cell, then add the cells into row, then add the row into table body. But now the presentation, this what you do in JavaScript actually. Now see here, it's very simple. I am creating here products table. Let's design a table and put some class here as table and table hover. And these are table classes. And here we have T head, TR, and TH. Here we have name, and here we have price. Now below this we need T body. In that we need this row to repeat. How you will make the row to repeat? Simple. Here we have to use ng for let item of data. Now every item is an object. Every item is an object which contains name and price. Now what we have to do? We have to create one cell. In this cell we need to get item name. We have to create another cell. In this cell we need to display item price. Now you can see the table is ready. That's very simple. The same thing, if you are asked to do in JavaScript, then you have to do all this. There is no other way. In JavaScript, this is the only way. And in Angular, it's very simple. Only one line here I need to define to handle any kind of complex data. Now here, even presenting the data will be more easy with dynamic. Dynamic, I will tell you how we can add rows, remove rows dynamically. We will see that. But here, the main concept is what is the purpose of this presentation. That means what is the purpose of this ng for? What is ng for? ng for is a repeater. It is going to repeat any element. Repeat any element. Now by using this, we must able to present complex data. Now what we will do is, we will see API. We will take one API and we will try to present the data. See, you need a collection now. So in the fake store, we have fake store API. In the fake store, you can see we have products data now. Fake store / products, right? That is the fake store API. It's taking a while, right? Or another API will give some, some problem in the fake store data. Host error is that those API is not responding. Let's check this. Wait. Or I will show you another API here. Means it is the host is not responding. We'll use another. I will show you. You see, this is NASA API. This is NASA API. This is NASA official APIs. NASA people provide API for developers so that developers can build websites which explore space details. Right? That means for educating people across the world related to space, NASA have their APIs. They provide their personal data. You can use the data in presentations and build websites related to space. Any website related to space, they can pull data from NASA. You can see these are NASA API, browse API. You see so many APIs are there. For example, Mars rover photos. This is an API. Now you can see these are API URLs. You select the API URL. You can see this is their data. And data is in a JSON form. And you saw the difference. Actually, fake store products, you saw that it is returning an array. But here you can see it is returning, this is returning an object. That object contains a property called photos. Photos is what type? Array. In that array, again, you have object. That means here first developer's responsibility is to first understand the data. If you can understand the data, then you can present the data. Now, hundreds of products, hundreds of data is there. Now, how to present all this? That means we need to read all. Then earlier, through JavaScript, presenting this kind of data requires a lot of logic. Now we can depend on simple iterations. That means we can use by using simple ngFor, we can present. I just showed you how ngFor is used for simple data. But we will see now how we can use complex data and complex presentation by using ngFor. That we'll see tomorrow. Right? In tomorrow's session, we will discuss about ngFor, how to handle examples with real-time APIs. We will see NASA API because they have good complex data. We will see how to present it, how we can read, how we can present, and that makes perfect. Then we can design one example of shopping cart using these APIs. Okay, tomorrow we'll see.